And thanks to Dave for leading us bravely through that segment, ending it on a high note. And like he said, or maybe didn't, we are going to now to the
You
Bears.
yelled at me.
Now we're going to the Bears.
He was
I hope you leave that
encouraging
in.
you.
I hope you leave that in,
encouraging
Ricky.
Well, Dave, we want to get Dave reps. All right, Dave, this is our preseason. You are our Tyler Bray.
We got
right?
him. We got him 53 on Too Old to
I
Game.
was say I am a great host on Too Old to Game.
When it comes to sports topics, right? When it comes to a sports podcast, you are still our Tyler Bray, baby. All right, Ricky can get us through a segment consistently. He can do it efficiently. He's our Chase Daniel, right?
Yep.
I'm Mitch Trubisky. I could fucking light up a segment. I could be a great guy. I could do it multiple ways. I could be a great questionnaire. I could become great hot takes, but also, am I going to be here next year? We don't know because I'm not that great, right?
Depends on who you're asking, too. Apparently, I'm the star.
Exactly.
Yeah, that man's a star.
I'm the
Chase,
breakout.
where was
We're
Chase
the
Daniel a
backup
star?
quarterback in Chicago.
Chase Daniel was an absolute star in Missouri, right? Mitch Trubisky wasn't a star in USC, right? He played 13 games. Anyways, my point is, you're Tyler Bray, baby. You just need some snaps. You just need some reps, at least as a sports podcast host. Outside of that, as a co-host, you're fucking
I'm just gonna
Kobe
every
Bryant.
time you want me to end a segment, I'm just gonna ask another question. Like
love it.
my segments will never end.
I'd
If
love
this
it.
was college football, I'd slap a helmet sticker on you. You did a good job, big guy.
You get a bucket, kid.
Ooh.
Anyways, let's talk about these Bears wide receivers, all right? So we assume 53-man roster cuts have not been made at the time of recording this. It is currently 5:51 p.m. On August 30th, 2019. Cuts are being made tomorrow. And if we're looking at the roster, we're assuming 7 receivers are going to make it. And this is coming from Chris Emma of 670 The Score. He's got Allen Robinson making it, Anthony Miller, Taylor Gabriel, Cordell Patterson, Javon Wims, Riley Ridley, and then a practice squatter in Thomas Ives. He does not have Tyquan Mizell making the team. He does have Ryan Nall making the team. So we're iffy on Mizell, but Dave was even saying that a 7th could be Mizell, being a running back wide receiver combo for this team. But let's say it's those 6. All right, we have 6 wide receivers. They didn't use Wims too much last year, but he was on the team. Ridley, obviously, a rookie. Miller was there, but he's already questionable. He wasn't fully healthy last year. Anyways, let's start off with the big name.
Yeah.
All right, and we'll get into how they're going to use all 6 guys, if those are the guys that they're going to keep. But let's get into the big name first. All right. Record-setting performance from Allen Robinson last year in the playoff game. Most receiving yards from a Bear in a postseason game. Last year, wasn't fully healthy. He now finally gets a full preseason and offseason to himself to recover and get healthy and to practice as well. I mean, this is his first fully healthy year. Only played 13 games last year, 55 receptions, 754 yards, 4 TDs. Dave, my question to you and to Ricky, we have had throughout our whole entire Bears just history, I think it's been, and I'm going to double check, it's been 15 wide receivers that have cracked the 1,000-yard mark.
Yeah.
Dick Gordon, Curtis Conway twice, Marty Booker, Mike Ditka, Harlan Hill twice, Alshon Jeffrey, Marty Booker again, Johnny Morris, Brandon Marshall, Jeff Graham, Marcus Robinson, Alshon Jeffrey again, and Brandon Marshall again. Can Allen Robinson join this illustrious list of wide receivers to crack 1,000 yards?
You know who I'm surprised isn't on that list?
Who?
Moosey Muhammad.
Moose is all right.
Like, I would expect him to be on the
like
list
a
at
solid
maybe one.
600-700 player.
Johnny
It
Knox
also-
was closer.
It also made me
960
forget
yards.
how good fucking Marty Booker was.
Marty Booker was dope.
Moose's best year was 863 yards.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
We didn't have a fucking quarterback for any of these guys, though.
Exactly.
Like, we didn't get a quarterback until Jay, and then that's when the names start popping up, like Alshon and
Don't disrespect
Brandon
Jim
Marshall.
Miller.
I will disrespect Jim Miller.
Or Sexy Rexy.
That
Definitely
was
disrespect him.
the pinnacle of consistency.
Do you think Allen Robinson can crack the 1,000-yard mark this year? Now, finally being healthy, he only played 13 games last year.
Yeah.
You know, you add 3 more games, maybe he gets 100 yards in those games and he hits 1,000.
I think that's pretty fair that he's going to be a 1,000-yard receiver this year. This offense has all the firepower it needs to get a 1,000-yard receiver. Like, we've got enough options, like you said, with Gabriel out there, with adding Ridley. We've got enough other guys to hopefully pull some attention, but I feel like Robinson is just the guy. When we need yards, it's Robinson. He is just a monster. He's a different kind of beast on the outside, and I absolutely believe he can get those yards because Mitch is going to have an even better year than last year. So if Mitch is having a better year, that means Robinson's having a better year.
Yeah, for sure. Ricky, do you think he's going to crack 1,000 yards?
I mean, I'd
He
like
cracked
to
1,400 before in Jacksonville.
I would
Yeah,
like to say
with a
yes.
bum of a quarterback.
I would like to say yes, but the thing I'm going to pull up right now is just the top 5 guys from last year in the NFL who had all of them had over 1,000 yards.
Yeah, Hopkins had 1,500.
So Julio Jones last year had 170 targets. DeAndre Hopkins, so that's what I'm looking at, is
So
targets.
people had over 1,000 yards had this many targets.
Yeah, so 170 for Jones. Hopkins had 163. You had Mike Evans is the next one on this list, and he had, my computer's loading, 139. I'm assuming he's going to be the short end because Hill and Juju, maybe Juju had the least, but Hill had 137, which is less, and Juju actually had 166. My question is Allen Robinson, how many more targets is he going to have? Because last year in 13 games, he only had 94 targets. 55 of them were caught. Whereas I almost want to ask, if we're asking that question, I almost want to put my money on Tariq Cohen over Allen Robinson because Cohen had similar 725 receiving yards, and he had 91 targets on 71 receptions.
I think that might be one thing you were thinking about too, was Cohen just as a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why we're thinking of 7, just because he's both a running back and a wide receiver.
Yep.
If that was flexed out, those numbers though, he was averaging about 7 targets a game. That would be 115 targets for Allen Robinson last year. I think the biggest thing that's hurting him is obviously his health last year, but just the way that this Bears offense ran last year, and it was more about spreading it out and giving the love to people, and giving it to Burton, giving it to Cohen, giving it to
We had games
Miller,
where,
giving
10
it to
guys
Gabriel.
had catches.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't just one guy feed the guy the ball. However, I do think Allen Robinson has that next level ability where he can overcome that part of the offense, where it's not just we're giving it to Allen Robinson 7 times a game. Like, I think he can have that ability where he gets it 7 times a game, but he's breaking it open because they're hitting him deep.
Yeah.
And a guy that is in a similar offense like that, and it's definitely way different play styles. Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill did crack 1,000 yards. He did have 137 targets last year, but he was able to crack 1,000 yards. I do think that he might be that player in the system where he is that deep ball threat. So he might only get 7 receptions, but they all might be of 15 yards plus. And that's where I think he gets to 1,000. But I think the thing that will hold him back is at least the volume of passes to other players. Because we already mentioned Taylor Gabriel is a longtime veteran here. Anthony Miller, we think that
Second year. They're both.
No, Gabriel's just a veteran.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. You said
like
here.
overall.
You said here, and I was like,
He's a
look, they
veteran.
came in the same
He's
time.
a veteran. First with Atlanta. I think Cleveland as well.
Yeah. I was a big fan of him, actually.
Gabriel, veteran. Miller was a big playmaker in college, and we assumed big things for him last year. Dealt with some injuries.
Called his shot and he hit it.
Yeah, Javon Williams
impressive.
seems to be working his way onto this team. Big body wide receiver from Georgia. Riley Ridley is a very good route runner from what we know. And then the final guy being totally forgetting, Jesus Christ, he might not be that good apparently. Cordell Patterson, which he's not super great. He might be used in different roles, which might be running back roles.
Split running back.
He wasn't.
I'm interested to see how he does on this team because, there's an article from NBC Sports Chicago where apparently ESPN's Jeff Dickerson pegged Patterson as the breakout candidate for the Bears this year.
He's a wild card.
It's and
He's always
what
been a wild
Dickerson
card.
says is, from what it says there, is Patterson's playmaking ability mixed with Bears head coach Matt Nagy's offensive creativity might be a match made in heaven.
Where did he just come from?
He came from the Patriots.
Who is Josh McDaniels? Not one of also the most creative offensive play callers.
He's a wizard.
Let's be honest. And he had Tom Brady. It's not like he had.
But how
he had
often
his
do you want to get the ball out of Tom Brady's hands? Like, that's the thing is, Brady's offense is suited for him. It's quick action. He knows exactly where the ball's going.
That's exactly what this Bears offense is. They want Mitch to know where the ball's going. They want him to get the ball out of his hands. They want him to hit guys deep, but know where he's going. That's exactly what they want him to do.
Tom Brady can't throw deep.
Anyways, with that, I don't think he is going to be a breakout candidate this year because a big part of it is like he has these spurts where he improved his route running last year, he improved his catching, but it just wasn't enough. And he's not a guy that can be a number 2, number 3 receiver. He's not that type of player. He isn't. He's just a utility guy,
A special teamer
in the offense.
who can
great
run.
special teamer. probably more useful than Devin Hester was offensively. Just because Hester was extremely fast and he'd get open, but he couldn't catch the damn ball.
Yeah.
Where Cordell can run some routes and catch the ball, but he just doesn't have that ability to gain that separation. He only gains that massive top speed after 20 yards, but even then you have safeties overcoming him, and he doesn't usually use his body too well. My thing is though, it's still going to take away catches away from Robinson, and even then you have Shaheen and you have Burton. You might even have Sowell as well as a tight end. They shifted him from a lineman to tight end. I don't think he's going to get to 1,000 yards receiving this year, but I think that's just because I think a lot of guys are going to catch balls this year, and I think a lot of guys might be up over 500 yards, which will be the biggest thing. You might have, Miller over 500, Gabriel over 500, Robinson over 500, Burton over 500, Cohen over 500. Right there, that's 5 guys. That's 500 times 5. That's
2,500 yards.
2,500 yards, and I mean, Mitch threw for 3,000 last year, so. And it's not going to be exactly
the rest.
Yeah, it's not going to be exactly 500 too. So I mean, if Robinson gets to 900, I wouldn't be shocked by that. If we had 5 guys over 500 and then Robinson at 900.
Yeah, Mitch was at 32-23 last year.
Okay.
The guy that I look at though it's not a question. The question is, will he be ready week 1? And if he is, how much is he used? Anthony Miller. But the big thing for me this year is. Last year, he was a guy where he's like, I'm going to get 8 touchdowns. And I know I was one of the people that was like, good luck with that one. And he had 7. And it was like, holy crap. He got close to it.
Had he not broken himself.
And he only played 15 games last year. And the thing I look at is I look at him of how he fits in. The Bears don't need Allen Robinson to go for 1,000 yards. They just need Robinson and Gabriel to take enough of the attention from doubles and shifts so that Anthony Miller can do his thing. And Anthony Miller needs to do his thing in the red zone. That's where it needs to happen because
he was a great target.
The thing I wonder is, and maybe you guys can tell me, is 28 touchdowns too low for you? Like, should Mitch in this passing attack have more than 28 touchdowns in a season?
Believe his over-under is at 25. So that would be taking the over. I don't think it's too much for them. I just think that they're probably going to score more on the ground this year just due to the addition of David Montgomery, the addition of Mike Davis. They might look to the ground a little bit more. They have added a lot of blocking tight ends as well. They've moved a fucking lineman to play tight end. So I wouldn't be too shocked if they look to run it and just be more versatile in the red zone. However, I mean, I think if this offense is clicking, it doesn't matter where they are scoring. They're just scoring. So it could be they are scoring more in the red zone by running, but then they are throwing and scoring on big plays. So I think best case scenario, they throw 28 touchdowns. Mitch throws 28 touchdowns. I think
I'm just going
Chicago
off
Bears
of last year. They had 28.
I think Chicago Bears fans would be excited for that. I think the biggest thing for them is just health in that section, because I think that was probably the part where they weren't. Trey Burton obviously missing the playoff game. Alex Robinson missing 3 games. Miller missing his games, and even then he wasn't fully healthy in every game he played. I think health is probably the biggest question mark for that group, and if they're able to stay healthy, I think they're going to be fairly decent. And I just question how much they're going to use Javon Wims, because I really like him a lot.
Yeah.
Big body wide receiver, knows how to run routes. They kept him in the practice squad for a reason. So what is his top end? And I would really like to see them explore it, because I know you love Taylor Gabriel.
My question, I want to ask you outright, Ridley. Ridley's not the quickest guy, but he runs really good routes. That's what we drafted him for.
Yeah.
So I see him and Wims in almost a direct competition for that role.
For the 5th wide receiver.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you take Ridley just because he's the rookie you drafted?
No, not necessarily, because if Wims brings you something that Ridley doesn't. Ridley's a smaller guy. At least, he's got a similar body frame to Gabriel and to Miller and to those two guys.
What is he, like 6'1"?
He is 6'1", 200.
Yeah, he's not big though. He's smaller. Where Wims, I think, is 6'3", 225, something like that.
Ricky's stat checking us real quick.
I think they might go with size there, because they're I think they're lacking that guy in the tight end position.
6'4", 216.
Yeah, he big.
Where they're lacking kind of size, at least in that tight end position. Where Sowell, he is big because he's a former lineman, but he isn't, the most fluid athlete. Trey Burton's a very fluid athlete, but he isn't a big guy.
Yeah.
Adam Shaheen, compared to Gronk,
Big guy.
but he's not good. He's not healthy.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be shocked
Yeah.
if they used Wims more in a goal line situation.
Yeah.
I think 5 wide they probably use Ridley, but then more in specialty packages where they know they're going to throw deep or over the middle, or where they need physicality, they'll go Wims.
I just Ridley's got
But
crisp route running.
if
The
they're
man
go-
looks like he's running cement
if they're
boots,
going
but
if they're going 2-minute drill, Ridley.
okay, all right, that's fair. But you did kind of allude there. My guy is still Taylor Gabriel. I love this guy coming out of Cleveland. I loved him when he got the opportunity with the Falcons. He was an X factor for that team and just absolutely explosive on that offense. And it's his big playability that makes me intrigued to see. Like, I feel like last year we didn't get to see all of him. Like,
Yeah, I wasn't impressed.
Exactly. It was disappointing because what I had seen on the Falcons was this guy who can absolutely take the top off of defense, who can stretch the field, and everybody's like, but it's just a little guy. And it's like, no. He's not some, like, slot receiver. He goes fucking on the outside and just runs past people. You throw it up there, he goes and gets it. Don't look at his height. He'll just get it. And that's one of those things where if we're looking for explosive playmaking, like Trubisky, yes, he loves to throw the ball down the field. Yes, his offense wants to keep those longer passes, 15-plus yards. I think he was in the top 10 for passes above 15 yards in the NFL last year. And I want to see Taylor Gabriel utilized better because he has a great ability. He has a knack for getting the ball.
Will we ever see the same Taylor Gabriel, though, that we saw in Atlanta? Because
Probably not.
this is not a knock
I want it,
against
though.
Mitch, but Robinson and Mitch
Yeah.
are not Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, which, I mean, Gabriel, yeah, I know Julio wasn't throwing him the ball. It was Matt Ryan. But when you've got Julio Jones on the other side, that's going to take some pressure off you, take some attention away from you, where Allen Robinson, to me, it's like, yes, he's the number one for the Bears. No one's questioning that. But he doesn't have that same kind of, I just want to say star power, to where teams are going to be like, yes, we need to shut down Allen Robinson like they do Julio Jones with the Falcons.
And I mean, from a production standpoint, yes, he had more yards last year, but he was down to about 10 yards a catch. Where
You're talking about Gabriel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where in his year with it, or his 2 years with Atlanta, he was at like 16 his initial year, which that's what I'm talking about, is like, how do you get that explosive playmaking back into him? Because yes, he can just get you, some small bunches of yardage, but I want to see that yards per catch go way up again, because that's the kind of player he is. That's when he's at his best. So if we're not getting that out of him, I don't understand the point of having someone out there with his size and his speed if you're not going to utilize him right. You might as well play someone who's a better route runner. You might as well play someone.
Is it
who
the
can get
play,
different.
like the playbook, though? Because you look at
They
it
have
and it's
Tyreek
like,
Hill, who is quick and not a big guy, who's able to explode on that offense for KC. And I know Pat Mahomes is not, they're not even in the same fucking state. Like,
but is that just because Hill is more, I want to say, like, he's more the track star than
probably the fastest
Gabriel
player in
is.
the
he is.
Yeah.
No, but
Like,
Taylor
is that
Gabriel is
it?
still a fast player.
Yeah, but he's not as fast as, like, Tyreek Hill is like video game.
Yeah,
fast.
he's Andy Isabella fast.
Because like I,
Hey,
because
gotcha,
like I
guys.
look at the Bears and the average yards per catch, it was Allen Robinson at 13.7, Anthony Miller at 12.8. Yes, Kevin Whitehead, one of 23 was the average, it says here, because he only had like 4 receptions. But then it was, besides that, Tariq Cohen, Taylor Gabriel, and Trey Burton were all at like 10-2, 10-3,
They were
10-5.
They were limited in play calling because Mitch wasn't the most accurate down the field, and I don't think they really used Taylor Gabriel to the best of his ability. Yes, so I mean, it'll be interesting to see how they use him. To wrap this up, let's give a power ranking of the wide receivers. All right, so who do you trust the most, top to bottom? Again, wide receivers: Allen Robinson, Anthony Miller, Taylor Gabriel, Cordell Patterson, Javon Wims, Riley Ridley. Either you want to rate them by trustworthiness or impact, however you may feel. Just let us know. But rank those guys 1 through 6.
I'm gonna fuck with you here because it's Robinson, Gabriel, and then it's Tariq Cohen. Like, I know it's not one of the options.
All right,
but
then we could
he
throw in
is-
7. That's fine.
He is one of my. If we're talking about guys who are going to catch
He's
the
a
pass,
receiver, yeah.
He's a receiver in my book in that case.
I'll
Because
agree
so
with
is
that.
Trey Burton. I mean, like, I was just talking strictly about guys who play
Fair
the wide
enough.
receiver position.
Fair enough.
That's all. I understand that he is a receiver. He is a big part of this offense in the passing game, but he's not a receiver. He is
Yeah.
a running back.
No, I'd probably go AR, Taylor, Trust is a bitch.
Anthony Miller. He's 3.
Anthony Miller. Yeah. No, you're right. Even if he's a little limpy this
And
year.
then at 4, I would have to put Cordell because it's like, for me,
He's got
it's
experience.
not just that, it's with this team and with Cordell, the thing that I know everyone wants to talk about his punt returning and his return skills, and he's been picking the brain at Devin Hester. To me, where I feel like he's going to be the most impactful to the Bears is not necessarily with his receiving per se, but more of that, like you talked earlier when we talked the Packers Bears about those jet sweeps maybe.
Yeah.
Getting those in getting him in motion behind the line and then getting that full head of steam that you talked about.
If I see jet sweeps, I'm going to kill myself. 1, I'll put Allen Robinson. 2, I will put Anthony Miller. 3, I have to put Taylor Gabriel. 4, I'm going to put Wims. 5, I'll put Patterson. 6, I will put Ridley. And then if I had to sneak in Cohen, I'd probably put him at 2.
Yeah, that's
I put Cohen.
And if you toss in Burton, would be 3 or 4?
Behind Miller.
Okay.
So I do
Wow.
Robinson, Cohen, Miller.
Yeah. You
Burton,
say wow that a
Gabriel,
tight end is that low.
Wims, Patterson, Ridley. I think those are the guys that I think impact-wise, that's the guys that I put.
You're so
Patterson's
high on Wims.
Patterson's going to have an impact, but I think in the special teams game. But as an actual offensive unit, he has not. He's 28 years old. He's been in the league for 7 years now.
He ain't doing it.
No one's been able to figure him out. Yep. Right? And he had spurts with the Patriots. I watched every game with him last year. Trust me. He had his spurts. He had a couple catches that were really good. But
as a Viking,
Vikings, you guys drafted his ass.
I mean, he wasn't the best wide receiver, but he gave us that athletic skill, and then he was quick.
He's a better wide receiver now, but he still isn't great. So
BT Dubs, Taylor Gabriel, 4.27. Tyreek Hill was a 4.2
4.1
or 4.22.
4.0.
No, not 4.0.
Dude was insane.
So I'm just saying, we're not talking a lot of difference there.
4.7 and 4.2.
4.27 versus 4.22, 4.24.
Oh.
Like 2.2, yeah.
Gotcha. But Gabriel's older now. Gabriel's what, like 31?
That's what I'm saying. Like, is he still running that now?
Taylor Gabriel's 28.
You can still runs a 4.27?
Still prime. For wide receivers, like...
I will say,
after taking some hits?
Him and Cohen had races to see who was the fastest.
Yeah.
So,
he
anyways,
won that one.
Tyreek Hill would win out of the 3 of them. He would also win in list of criminal charges. Yeah. So shout out Tyreek Hill, but not really.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill's going to be 25, so I'm just saying.
25 and already has a massive rap sheet. Go Bears. Anyways, we're going to wrap up this podcast. I want to thank Dave and Ricky for joining me, and I want to thank Dave for hosting a podcast. Ricky, you got to pick up the slack here. We talked about the Bears-Packers preview, the Cubs rotation come playoff time, and the Bears wide receiving core, and that's what you're currently listening to. If you do want to help us out, if you want to see the video side of this, support us on patreon.com/mostopodcast so we can afford more batteries because that was the crux, and that's why we're currently not using one right now. But anyways, check out patreon.com/mostopodcast if you want to support us. For Dave, Ricky, I'm Sean. We'll see you next time.